This moment does not require short-term thinking. It does not require having the same old stale debates. Our focus has to be on the basic economic issues that matter most to you, the people we represent.
I love hearing the president sound like that. But how realistic is it? Because, see, the economic issue that matters most to Americans right now is, of course, you know this, jobs. And the jobs that are coming back aren't quite cutting it. According to a report from the National Employment Law Project from 2008 to 2010, higher wage jobs made up 19% of recession job losses and 20% of recovery growth. Mid-wage jobs were 60% of recession job losses, but only 22% of recovery growth. And here's the one, low-wage jobs made up 21% of recession losses, 58% of recovery growth. Tomorrow could be a critical day in the push for better pay for low-wage workers. Thousands of fast food workers in 7 U.S. cities planning to walk off of their jobs in an escalation of ongoing strikes seen throughout the fast food industry since last November. So, Congresswoman, you know, we're adding jobs. The jobs we're adding are often low-wage jobs that don't have ladders to something else. How do we make these jobs into jobs that can support families?
Let me say first that the Progressive Caucus tomorrow will be with the McDonald's workers here in New York as part of our Raise Up America tour. If the Republicans in Congress would pass some of the bills that the president put forward, such as investment in infrastructure, such as public sector jobs, stop all these budget cuts, then we would be on the right track. There are many, many jobs of the future if we could get the right initial investment. These low-wage jobs, I have to tell you, making $6 and $7 an hour, people have to rely on SNAP, on food stamp benefits, on Medicaid. It's costing our economy much more at the other end. And so we need to invest in good paying jobs. I support, first of all, an increase in the minimum wage, but also, more importantly, we've got to get to a living wage. In my own state, that's $20-some an hour. People deserve this if they're going to live the American dream. Right now, employers are hiring people. They're hiring people part-time, so they don't have to pay benefits. They're hiring people in a way that really is very tragic, Melissa. No workforce training. We need to train people for the jobs of the future. We can't get anything passed through Congress because of sequester and the Tea Party. And so we've got a major issue that we have to deal with. And the president, I think, is right by going out into the country talking about it.
And this is so real, Congressman. Mark, I want to show you this from McDonald's. This is McDonald's budget for how to live on your income as a McDonald's worker. Might be just a tad hard to see there, but basically they're saying, here's your income from your first job. This is what you expected. Here's your income from your second job. I'm not kidding. Their assumption is that you will work a second job. Then they start showing what you will save, what your mortgage will be, your rent. They also put in, a whole lovely $20 for your health insurance. And by the way, this entire budget includes, for example, no food, which it seems to me goes back to your point that part of what they're assuming is that the social safety net is going to pick up and subsidize their profits, when even the fast food industry themselves are saying, you can't make it off of one job with us. How far down the rabbit hole have we gone in terms of our inability to come back as an economy?
Well, as someone whose first job was at Burger King rather than McDonald's, you know, I was in high school, wasn't trying to live on it, and I do think we need to keep a role for jobs that are part-time for high school students, for teenagers.
But
and so if I could finish
almost 90% of people making minimum wage. No, but almost 90% of people making minimum wage are over 20. Just keep going, but I just want to make sure that's clear.
The point is, I don't think we're going to grow high-wage jobs by eliminating low-wage jobs. I don't think we make people better off by limiting their choices. I want to expand their choices. And so ultimately, if we want to raise wages, we need to make people more productive, and that's human capital, you know, education, training. It's also removing negative capital. The worst thing you are going to be if you're in a situation is, for instance, if you've dropped out of high school and you have a criminal record. So what are we going to do about all the people that are incarcerated in this country when they come out of incarceration and try to get jobs? That's a much bigger problem we don't address. That eliminating jobs is not going to help.
This is interesting to say that so I'm not sure that I've heard the argument made this way. Jared?
So I just read this morning. There's a good article in the New York Times about low-wage work this morning. 43% of low-wage workers have either some college or a college degree. I think it was 17% have a college degree. Heather mentioned all the grown-ups who are still earning the minimum wage. This is not simply simply a matter of being more skilled or getting more education. That helps, and all of us around this table know that. That helps and has helped us. So it's critical. But there are a lot of people who are high school graduates, people with some college, who are stuck in jobs that pay far too low for them to support their families, and it has very little to do with their skills. It has a lot to do with the fact that they lack bargaining power. The minimum wage is too low. The fact that they haven't been able to really get much support from unions. So you have to look not just at the human capital side, but also the bargaining power side, the inability of people to get their fair share of the economy's productivity growth over the last couple of decades has really grown a lot.
I was just going to say, I mean, I do think I want to echo what Jared said. It is a question of power. It's a question of power at the workplace. I mean, we think about the middle-class jobs that helped build this country. They weren't sort of born good jobs. They're actually terrible jobs. They didn't require a lot of education, that were dangerous, that were hard, that were backbreaking, but they were made into good jobs because workers had bargaining power, because of structural things in the economy, but also obviously because of the presence of unions and the lack of the sort of rabid anti-union spirit among the employers. And it also has to do with power in Washington. The fact is that the vast majority of the American people, nearly 80% of the American people, think that you should not be working full-time and be in poverty. And you know what? Among the donor class that actually helps set policy, that is a minority position. 38% of the wealthy think that minimum wage job should be enough, should pay enough to keep someone out
And it, of course, goes back to your point, Congresswoman, about sort of the role of government and stimulation, that even if we're talking about human capital, right? So even if we take just sort of full cloth your argument, we would then still need to talk about the investment that government must make in order to provide human capital opportunities for children coming up, and that the incarceration rate is not just a given, right? It too is a result of public policy, right? Mark, thanks so much for being here. And up next, why a growing number of workers are literally paying for their paycheck. This was driving me nuts this week. When we're back.
A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you